So when did you become Lala? And is there a story behind the birth of Lala?
So Ludacris named me Lala. That is the story behind it. My real name is Alani. So Alani, obviously. But at that time, they were calling me Lala the Latina. So it was like Lala the Latina. Like that was the name. But it just kind of stuck. I mean, people would kind of say La or Lala, casually. But that kind of became my name when Luda stamped it, like saying it on the radio all the time.
Right. So it wasn't even a choice. It was just like a
It's
evolution.
just what it was.
It just happened.
It just kind of stuck. But my name is Alani.
Alani Nicole.
Yeah, Alani Nicole.
There you go. I'm trying to do a little research here.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Trying to get some shit correct. So you had that moment in your life, Atlanta, radio, hosting the show. What, as that's coming to an end, like where's your head at? Where are you like, I want to pivot to this, pivot to that? I know MTV was right there, right? Yeah. So like, tell me about that part.
So that's all, again, around Luda's story, because one day he came into the radio station. He's like, look, I'm about to quit this. I'm going to go on the road. I'm going to drive my car all over the country. He had a Hyundai. He was going to drive the Hyundai all over the country, sell the single outside of the car, out the trunk of the car. And he asked me, he said, you can come with me, or I don't know what you're going to do, because once I leave, it was the kind of show that if he left, it wasn't going to continue. Like it was, He had to be there. He was the core piece. So I really contemplated, like, am I just going to get in the car with him and go all over the country and help him, chase his dream and what he wants to do? Or am I going to chase my own dream? So at that time, I opened this book that had like all the top radio stations in the country. And I just sent my tape. It's called an air check tape. It's like 3 minutes of what you sound like on the radio. So I sent it to like the top 10 destinations, places I had never been to before, anything. And I just remember one day getting a call from the LA radio station, and they were like, we heard your tape. We think you're super cool. Like, would you consider coming out here and like being on the radio? I'm like, yeah, of course. And they were like, well, how much are you getting paid right now? It wasn't like lawyers and negotiations. It was like, how much you getting paid? And I wasn't getting paid anything. Like we were broke as fuck, all living in one place, one apartment. Like it was bad. So I was just like, I just made up any number. I think I said 30,000. And I thought that was like a crazy number. I was like, I make $30,000. And they were like, oh, well, this job pays like 60,000 or something. And I was like, what? Because really I was probably making like 15,000 or
exactly
something.
Right.
And so I just took that jump, and I had never been to LA before, never knew anything about Hollywood or what LA was like. I got on a plane, and when I got off the plane, I moved to LA, still a teenager, and started working on the beat in LA. And then that's how MTV came after that.
Got it. And college at this point in your life, I mean, you got into Howard, right? But you just were like, I'm sticking professional?
I went to Howard for like a semester, and I was majoring in communications. But what I realized for me is that I was already on the radio. So it's like I'm starting from scratch on like how to work the board and like how to do an intro. And I'm like, I do this already. Like I'm going backwards for what I'm doing. So it didn't last long, but I will say I enjoyed, I'm going to say the semester or two that I was there, but I got a piece of what that college experience was and like living on the dorm and everything. But I was like, I'm too ahead of what I'm majoring in right now, because all these people are trying to get a job on the radio. I already got one. So I was like, I don't want to lose my opportunity. So I rushed back to Atlanta, because I knew that, when you leave, it's easy for someone else to come take your spot. So I was like, I got to get back and get my spot. So I went back, and then that's when Luda said he was leaving. And that's when all of that kind of happened.
Got it. And the podcast is called Why Not Me? And it's about all these moments in life where you ask yourself that question, why not me? And you pivot towards what you believe is your truth and your strength. So that was definitely a why not me moment for you, as you chose that path.
It was. And you have to bet on yourself. Like I had to just know and be confident that I could do this. I'm one of the best at it, and just had to believe in myself and take a chance. Because it's not like I had someone guiding me or telling me, like my family doesn't know anything about the industry, or they didn't even really think radio was a real job. It was just like, oh, she's on the radio for fun. Like nobody thought that's something you make a career out of. Not at that time anyway. It's like, so what are you going to do with your life? I'm like, I'm on the radio. And they're like, but what you going to do with your life?
What you going to do? Right.
Yeah, it wasn't, because it was like just something fun to do.
So, but you're on this path, and things are happening, and your voice is getting out there. Your name is getting out there. Obviously, you're starting to achieve some success. I remember starting to hear about Lala back in the day. What was the thing, I guess another why not me moment in particular, and we'll talk about MTV, but like, all that's kind of the same. MTV, the radio, it's like kind of hosting, but like the acting thing is what I'm really excited about when it comes to you, because I know how passionate you were about it. What was the moment when you were like, I'm pivoting to this direction. I'm going to focus on this acting grind.
So during the MTV days, people would always be like, you know, MTV, they would tell you every day, like MTV is the gift and the curse. Like, this is the peak of your career. Like at that time, MTV was a different beast, like thousands of kids in Times Square every day. You're interviewing the best of the best. It's TRL. You're live on TV every day. We were like rock stars during that time. And it was like, enjoy it now, because there's nothing bigger after this. Like, this is the peak of your career. I would hear that all the time. And it would be like the MTV gift and the curse, because so many MTV people, unfortunately, it's like, you just never heard of them afterwards. It was like, well, what happened to so-and-so? They just kind of just disappeared and you didn't know what happened. And I was like, that's not going to be me. Like, that's not going to be me. So being on live television, I was like, okay, what's the natural like transition or next thing? And I always loved acting, living in LA. You can't not get like touched by the acting bug. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take acting classes. I'm going to see what this is about, because I have the presence on camera. I know how to like work cameras and do all. So why can't I learn this other skill? And I worked really, really hard at it. It's never been easy for me. It's still not easy to, you know, get in certain rooms or, you know, be taken seriously. I've made a lot of strides, you know, with all the shows I've been on and getting nominated for an NAACP award for my work on The Chi and just different things. And people really finally seeing me as an actor. But it took so long, because forever it was just, oh, that's Lala from MTV. And people wanted you for cameos. Like, oh, we need like a VJ or we need a radio host. I'm like, I'm not trying to play myself. Like, that's the stuff that was coming my way. But I just had to dig in and work really hard, and still do. Like, I don't take it for granted. I don't take it as a joke. I know, you know, the work that comes behind it. I still work with an acting coach before, you know, each episode, each scene. Like, I don't play around. I don't play around with it.
How did the Chi come your way? I was always been curious about that.
Yeah, I love The Chi. I love Lena Waithe. That's family to me. And I just would always write her, like, this is an incredible show. And if there's ever an opportunity, even to just audition, like, you know me, I don't want anything handed to me. I'm like, give me the audition. Like, let me earn it. Let me show you that I could do this. And she was like, I'll always keep you in mind, always keep you in mind. And then an opportunity came and I auditioned for the role of Dom. And that was, season 3? Now we're on season 7. I just got back from Chicago yesterday. I was out there filming, but Lena just writes so beautifully and really brings these characters to life. And I feel like I'm really doing great work there. And after all these seasons, for that show to still be as popular as it is, as relevant as it is, it's really an incredible thing.
I love Lena first of all. I think she's great.
Oh, she's amazing.
Her talent is undeniable, but her personality is fucking great too. She's just fun to be around. Always brings like that light and that fun. So that's awesome. So I know you also as a producer.
Yes.
And an author. What was the inspiration for writing books? Like what made you, I think I know the answer as far as like what made you believe in yourself, because you believe in yourself. But like, what was the moment where you're like, I'm going to put pen to paper and go down that path?
It started feeling like I was doing it on my own without even thinking about writing a book. But it started just feeling like therapy, like an outlet of like my stories, my struggles, what I've been through. And it really became therapy. And then I was like, so many people can learn from this or see that they're not the only one who's been through whatever it is. And I wanted to not be afraid to put my experiences out there so that other people can learn from them and see like people go through the same things. Like, it will get better. You will survive. You'll be okay. And that's just kind of how it started. It was more just a therapy outlet for me that turned into, you know, a book.
I get that.
And it's great because that's the book that was just announced. That book was written over 10 years ago, and it just got announced yesterday as
we've spoken about that book.
Yeah, we've spoken about it. So Hulu finally picked it up, and we're going to turn it. Kenya's writing it. We're going to turn it into a scripted series called Group Chat, which is just about like everything that goes on in a all female group chat and like what we talk about and everything. It's going to be really cool. But it's crazy after all these years that Love Playbook is still so relevant, because I don't think you never have it figured out. No one ever figures out like the rules of love. Like, you never master it. It's always like, there's more question. You're married. I mean, you never master it. You know, it's always like, okay, what do I do here? Or how do I handle this or whatever it is? So it's always the do's and don'ts of love will never get old.